Gaming is a weird world, and every month gameranx puts together a list of the weirdest crap that's gone on. That's this. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the 10 weird gaming stories of July 2023. Starting at number 10, Call of Duty is obviously one of the biggest things in the world in terms of gaming, and lots of people cheat. As such, they've had to come up with a lot of interesting ways to try to stop cheaters, and the latest one is that they make cheaters hallucinate imaginary opponents. So essentially, this is what they're calling mitigations, and they're designed to keep cheaters occupied while other players, play the game. Hallucination isn't the only mitigation, it's just the latest one, and I think that it's very silly. Like, decoys, apparently, just entirely invisible to anybody playing the game legitimately, not cheating, but a cheater has to deal with them. According to Team Ricochet, they look like a real player and trigger all the same information they would in cheating software. Now, the latter, I'm sure it probably does, but I've never seen an AI that looks like a real player. Cheaters are gonna know the difference, I promise you this. Does it matter? No, because they're probably still gonna have to deal with these things. But I think what's weird and funny is just that we've gotten to a point where they're just like, you know what? If we just kick them out of the game, they find different ways to cheat. So let's give them ways to feel like they're in the game for as long as possible before they realize they're not really in the game. Like, we're really taking the long way around with stopping cheating nowadays. At number 9, speaking of cheating, a Rainbow Six Siege cheater who had been banned from the game 80 plus times swatted the Ubisoft Montreal offices, and obviously that's not very welcome by Ubisoft. It's also not legal. Nobody likes armored vehicles showing up at your office, and somebody can get hurt. People have died in swatting incidents. So this guy, he got sentenced to 3 years of community service, which seems light. I mean, the guy got banned 80 times from Rainbow Six Siege. That's a clear motive to endanger an entire office full of people's lives. So, I think it's a little weird that he got just community service. But same time, the whole thing's weird. Like, obviously being banned didn't stop him from cheating. It only pissed him off. So maybe it's less weird that they're doing what they're doing with the decoys in the last point. I don't know. It's getting pretty crazy, though. I think probably part of the problem here is 3 years of community service. That's really not a real punishment. Like, there's people who intentionally volunteer to do community service. Maybe if the time was a little bit more appropriate to the crime, endangering an office full of people's lives, maybe this would seem like a little bit less of a thing that you can do. But I don't know. That's my thinking. He was banned 80 times. Like, at what point do you stop thinking you're in the right about this? At number 8, hey, so a racist guy harassed somebody at Bungie, a community manager who highlighted a black creator of Destiny 2, which, hey, cool. If you make something cool and a community manager highlights it and you turn out to be black, it seems like that's probably a factor that doesn't really matter in it, but whatever. I mean, with the sheer number of people who play video games, you have to assume that there's a few racist folks out there. But, even racists, like, I figure a large number of them are lazy and some are not lazy, just like with, all people. This racist was not lazy. He got on it. Like, he was so offended by the fact that they featured a black creator, that he doxed, harassed, and apparently endangered the Bungie community manager to the point where Bungie had to hire people to investigate it and figure out what the hell was going on. And it ended up costing them about $500,000 they accrued in this investigation. And according to courts, the racist ended up being liable for that $500,000, which is weird. That's not what you would expect. But according to the law ruling that actually happened, if somebody harasses somebody because they're employed with a specific company, the new precedent that has been set due to this case is that it actually harms the company, which is, I think, logically correct. It almost seems like a common sense thing. But in 2023, that's when that decision was made. And so now, if you cause monetary damage through whatever means, whether it be physical damages, emotional damages, whatever. If you cause a monetary detriment to a person for being employed to a company, you're now causing that monetary detriment to that company. And this guy did exactly that. It didn't exactly pay to be racist here, is all I'm saying. Although I don't really know that there's a lot of places where it pays to be racist. I guess it's the weird part here is kind of that it took this long for courts to rule that. I don't want to say like, hey, I'm on the side of the big corporations here, but on this very specific issue, it seems like if somebody is harassed explicitly for being part of your company, which is what this basically is, that's a fair rule. And number 7, I guess dedicated is the right word, a really, really dedicated person has combed through as much pre-release media as has been released for Starfield in order to compile a 1,000-page document titled An Attempted Complete Starfield Compendium, which is essentially a document detailing the history of Starfield. And no, I do not mean the world of Starfield. I mean lore around the development of Starfield. It clocks in at about 86,000 words. In terms of why, the author of this document, a guy calling himself Gokamo, he does actually detail this, saying that, and I'm summarizing, this isn't a direct quote, but basically, Oblivion was his first experience in a game that felt like another world. He's played and finished every Bethesda game, and he feels like the formula for creation for them is very special, and he actually, remembered coming up with a bunch of inaccurate predictions for Fallout 4, but all of that is lost to time, and he wanted to, instead, chronicle the development from the public's perspective of Starfield so that all of these things can kind of be looked back on. And honestly, I think that's kind of cool. A lot of the time we make predictions on games, me particularly. I'm probably most proud of when I was saying that the Switch was going to be a massive success and no one else was. You can go back to that video right now. It's super weird, by the way. Hearing me talking about the Nintendo Switch, like other people were being skeptical about it, it's just beyond strange for me to hear. I did this maybe a month or so ago, actually. And it's kind of cool to go back, even when you're wrong. Like, I was right there, but I've been wrong about other things, and I like going back to those other things. It's kind of cool in a weird way. And this is a chronicling of the development through the eyes of the public, where those things, those wild predictions will all be sort of there. So when the game actually comes out, we could all go back and say, this is what the community thought, this is what the community thought, and look at how different it is, or look at how the same it is. I kind of love this idea, and I'm probably going to read this document because I'm a lunatic. And number 6, the teenager who is accused of the massive Grand Theft Auto 6 leak, an 18-year-old who I'm not gonna name for obvious specific reasons that I'll say right here. He was deemed physically unfit for trial, which isn't exactly like the insanity defense or anything, because the jury will still be doing a trial and the point will be to figure out if he committed the act or not. That said, he was formally charged pretty quick on this. I have a feeling he probably did it, but it's looking more and more like a person who has some pretty serious problems that may have influenced their decision to do it. So, I mean, I don't want to say that justifies anything, but it also, it didn't damage Rockstar, I think, in the way that they have pretended it has. I think it did damage them, but let's be real. Is anybody gonna not buy Grand Theft Auto 6? Yeah, I'm sure their development became a little more complicated due to that leak, but if I'm completely honest, I don't actually remember anything from the leak. It wasn't that interesting. If we're going to be completely honest. So, I don't know where this is going to go, but they're probably going to find that he did do these things, because it looks that way to me. I don't know. We'll keep you updated if anything else relevant happens. And number 5, somebody maybe did something a little more useful than the guy who chronicled the development of Starfield from the public perspective for Starfield fans. A guy by the name of ASD8DHD really exhibited the prime trait of ADHD, hyperfocus on this one. He spent 2 hours compiling full skill tree details. Now, it may not be completely correct. There could be something that changes. They could even deliberately change it, knowing that this guy did this. I don't know. But man, well done to ASD8DHD. I'm not going to go into the whole thing because there's a lot, but the categories on the skill tree are physical, social, combat, science, and tech, which, nice, really comes off as a proper sci-fi version of the whole Bethesda RPG formula. I like it. I mean, this is impressive. Even if he's not completely right, he's probably at least mostly right. And it's all basically investigation of promotional material. I love that this is where we are. People are thinking in terms of investigation in a way that I don't remember people used to do. Although I'll say this, once you're done with the Starfield stuff, maybe turn your investigative focus to real stuff too. I'm not saying don't enjoy the video game stuff. Maybe go into helping us all make our lives a little better. Not a criticism. Please continue to do this and stuff that you enjoy first. But once you're taken care of, please use these beautiful skills, ASD8DHD. Take down some big government conspiracy or something. I love it. At number 4, Tencent bought Techland, who you probably best know as the developer of Dying Light. Now, this isn't necessarily a full-ass just buying them. It's being done through buying shares. And apparently, Techland is going to continue to operate independently and is going to retain its own ownership of its IPs, which is good. And maybe that's the weird part of it. I mean, one could say, oh, it's so weird that Tencent is buying anything it can. It's so weird that these big companies are buying up all these smaller companies. That's not weird. That's the norm. What's weird is that they retain ownership of their IPs. That's strange. I'm happy. That's how it should be. I mean, Techland definitely knows the value of an IP, though. They're the original creators of Dead Island, which they do not own. The publisher Deep Silver owns. And Dead Island 2 wasn't even made by them, although it's pretty good. Dam Buster did a pretty good job understanding what makes Dead Island work, but still, Techland, I'm glad to see this is how they got acquired by a larger company, as opposed to something more like how everything else is happening. At number 3, a developer by the name of Rubes has remade The Simpsons Hit and Run from scratch. He finally finished as far as he was going to go with it, but I am going to go ahead and say this has been something I've been watching as it's happened. The game unfortunately can't be released publicly due to the fact that it's The Simpsons Hit and Run. It's a game that, you know, the rights to probably are pretty specific in terms of, you know, ownership and all that. I kind of hope that the owners of the Simpsons property decide, you know what, let's hire this guy and the other people that are working on this to actually make a Simpsons Hit and Run remake. Because, I mean, they just got to put in more content. Like, they didn't finish all the missions. They made the world, though. It all looks incredible. The lead designer on the original game, Joe McGinn, thinks that it's absolutely amazing. I guess the weird thing is just, like, it's gotten this much coverage, and the people in charge haven't been like, you know what? They've done, like, all the work for free. Let's just hire them, finish it, put it out, and make so much money. Like, just based on the story alone, a lot of people would support it, because you'd not just be supporting this big company that owns IP. I don't like saying it, but Disney owns him now. Simpsons is actually a Disney cartoon. But the thing is, I know how much Disney likes money. Huge fans. Like, as much as people are fans of Disney properties, Disney is a fan of money. If there was a money convention, a lot of Disney staff would take the week off and go, and they'd cosplay as money at that convention. So it seems like a no-brainer to me. Moving on to number 2, the ESRB wants to scan your face. Yeah, it's kind of a little bit like what Tencent did in China, where they want to scan faces of minors to stop them from playing so many damn video games. When the video game company is scanning faces saying, man, kids need to play less of these. I think it's safe to say that while it might not be the reaction, that might actually be a problem there. I don't know. But the ESRB apparently agrees. But as you know, the ESRB less concerned with how much people are playing video games and more concerned with which video games people who are not old enough to play certain video games are playing. Basically, in order for kids to play a game, parents would have to take a selfie, which the thing would analyze and make sure it's an adult, and then the adult has to press a button that says, yes, it's okay for my kid to play this game. Now, people thought the intent was to scan kids, which is thankfully not it, but I don't think that this is a lot better. They say, oh, we're not going to store pictures, or, oh, you're not? Sure, the ESRB. I believe they probably don't want people's faces on file, but I don't believe companies that adhere to this standard don't want people's faces on file. Any identifying information a company making a game is going to want, and it's going to technically have access to it unless you encrypt it somehow, which I bet probably isn't something that's part of the proposal. That seems like it would make too much sense to me. And really, you know what? Kids are going to figure out a way around it. Might print out a picture of their parent and take photos of that. Or, you know what? How about this? If parents buy their kids a game that might be a little more violent than what the ESRB thinks a kid should be able to purchase, I don't care. It's fine. Holy hell. We do not need this kind of technology. Like, parents are perfectly capable of saying, no, you can't have that game. Like, old school fascism was aggressive, and today's fascism is passive aggressive. This is just goofy crap that nobody needs. Like, are parents perfect? Absolutely not. But pardon my turn of phrase. Parents can sack up when they need to, okay? I don't need a big friggin' company or a board telling them to. I don't know. This kind of crap just pisses me off. I don't necessarily think that kids should be playing inappropriate games like super violent crap or really sexual crap, but this is like taking a BFG and shooting fish in a barrel with it. Like what? Come on, man. We have a rating system, right? That's what the ESRB is for. That's enough. It really genuinely is enough. And finally, at number 1, a group got arrested for selling crypto mining graphics cards as brand new, which, doy. In China, a lot of crypto mining was going on, but cryptocurrency is falling in popularity there, so everybody who had miners is like, ah, man, I gotta offload these cards. I know, some dumb gamer will want it. I'll tell them that it's brand new. You know what? Crypto mining is really intensive, and selling a graphics card as new that has been crypto mining, yeah, no, not cool. There is an argument from other YouTubers like Linus Tech Tips that I don't completely disagree with. I mainly agree that buying a used GPU is actually a good idea, but here's the thing. It's not actually about buying a used crypto mining GPU that you know is a used crypto mining GPU. The problem is these guys were saying that they were brand new cards. That's just outwardly lying. While using a crypto card for gaming purposes might very well turn out to be a great experience for the user, you should know that that's what it is. You should never buy a new card, and it's not a new card, it's a card that's been used because the person lied to you. Yeah, it's just total BS. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications, and as always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.